What up, though, everybody? It's the Ronnie Duncan Show right here on the Sports Rap Network. 321, you know I'm all that fun, but we all we got. We're the Sports Rap Network, and we do it Monday through Friday between the hours of 1 and 3 o'clock right here at WGPR 107.5 FM HD2. You know, we all we got. And it has been booming. It has been shaking. It has been baking. Every time you turn around, there is a new theme song. There is a new story. It is the NFL, perhaps one of the greatest regular seasons of all time, going right down to the nitty-gritty because you got two games on Sunday that's going to determine who's in and who's out. I'm looking at the NFL, I'm looking at the NFC, and I'm like, Carolina Panthers? Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Oh, that's going to be a great game. You got Bryce Young getting ready to take on who? Baker Mayfield? I'm telling you, it's getting down to the nitty-gritty, but the best game probably for me is going to be the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Winner takes it all. Yeah, it's coming down to that, and that's going to be on NBC at 8 o'clock on Sunday. Hello, everybody. Ronnie Duncan, so glad to be with you. What a weekend of football. I hope you had a great Christmas. I know you missed us all. Mary Jo, I just want to say ho, 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 Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Hopefully we'll see you soon. But you know what? This has been great to have had an opportunity to just sit back and just watch sports all over the weekend. Christmas Day, Santa Claus came and the NFL delivered. The Lions didn't deliver, and that's another story. Coming up today on the Ronnie Duncan Show, we will talk with Chris Murray. Chris Murray will talk boxing. He will talk basketball. He will talk football. He will talk everything that is Philadelphia and beyond. And then I've got a one-on-one conversation with the renowned Hall of Fame journalist, Lamont Germany. Lamont breaks it down to why we need a sports rap network and why so many things have been taking place. And he also looks at the Pittsburgh-Baltimore matchup. And there's been a lot being said in Baltimore about maybe saying, let's forget Mr. Lamar Jackson. And let's concentrate on Huntley. He got us the victory the other day. You saw what happened against Green Bay. It's all there, and it is outstanding. Lamont will talk with us about that. Those are just some of the things that we're going to talk about right now on the Ronnie Duncan Show right here on the Sports Rap Network. Now, if you're just joining us for the very first time, you're like, Sports Rap Network? What is that all about? Who is the Sports Rap Network? It's us. See, finally, we tell our story. And we have a slogan here, and it's called We're All We Got, the Sports Rap Network, meaning us, the people, the culture. It's simple. All you got to do is go to our website, and you can find out immediately what I'm talking about. Look at our website. Download, go to the App Store right now and download Sports Rap Network. Do it. And you'll see the liberating colors, the red, the black, the green. You will know what I mean. And then if you want to go to our website, just go to sportsrapnet.com. And we are heard exclusively on WGPR 107.5 FM in Detroit, Michigan. What up, doe? Greatest NFL season of all time. The 49ers game with the Bears came down to the final second. Caleb Williams almost got it in. And Chicago Bears continue to be the fairy tale story of the NFL. Ben Johnson, outstanding job. Yes, the former offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. Lions ain't in, but they're going to be watching Ben. I can tell you that. But what a game it was because the 49ers won 42-38. Brock Purdy, once again, he did something that Joe Montana, Steve Young, you name any great San Francisco 49ers quarterback of the past, they never in the history of their franchise had 5 TD games in a row, consecutive games in a row. That means in his last 2 games, he's thrown 10 touchdowns. Brock Purdy, I mean, come on. Anytime you can do the dance in the end zone, look like a brother from another mother, I got to give you nothing but love. Brock Purdy, you look good. Ronnie Duncan, like what you did. Hey, the Lions, man, they need a facelift. I'm telling you right now, Brad Holmes, I'm telling you, even though you just got that new contract, Dan Campbell, you guys now got to work for the money. You got to work for the money. Yeah, you do. You know, it must be the money. Dion was there, and he saw his son had his cowboy hat. You know, the coach of Colorado. Buffaloes, his son, Shedeur Sanders. Well, guess what? They beat the Steelers, and it was Shedeur looking good in the first quarter. Had 2 interceptions, but it was okay. But now it is setting up Baltimore and Pittsburgh for it all. Can you believe the Browns actually beat the Steelers? And the Steelers didn't even score a touchdown. Aaron Rodgers is probably making all kind of noise even right now. I can hear you, Aaron. Don't even forget about it. All right, and Derrick Henry. Let's go back to that game on Saturday. No Lamar Jackson. Huntley's in. And I'll talk more about this whole situation where a beat writer, a columnist in Baltimore is beating down, and he's a brother by the name of Michael Preston, the Baltimore Sun, beating down on Lamar Jackson, and they talking like they want him out of town. He could have played if he wanted to play. But is it Lamar or is it Harbaugh? Does he need to go and coach with his brother in Los Angeles? Jim and John all together. We're brothers. Okay, anyway, how about Derrick Henry? 216 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's a workhorse, 5-time Pro Bowler. Loved him ever since he was down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama with the Alabama Crimson Tide. He is a bad Texas boy. He is nobody to play with. They won the game 41-24 over Green Bay. Hey, look, Malik Willis, before we even go on, Malik Willis surprised me. Not only did he look good, he was good, and it was brilliance at its best. All right, the Pistons did lose to the Los Angeles Clippers last night. But the reason why, Kawhi Leonard had 55 points, but the score really messes me up. 112-99, the Pistons lose on the road. The East leading Pistons, and now everybody in New York says, I told you, we're going to get you. Look, New York, take your time. Don't think about it. Take your time and just recognize the Pistons are somebody to deal with, and ain't nobody trying to get into the face of any of those guys who play for the Detroit Pistons because they got hands. And speaking of hands, how about Inoue over the weekend? The monster, the Asian monster, the Japanese monster. Mr. Inoue ain't no joke. Super bantamweight, but super good. All right, you know, on January 31st, it's Shakur Stevenson against Teofimo Lopez. I will be talking with the one and only Chris Murray about that particular fight coming up and what do we have to look forward to. And I want you to think about this. Who are your 5 best boxers right now in America? You think about it, we'll talk about it. The number to call is 833-WRAP-IT-UP, 833-WRAP-IT-UP. This is the Ronnie Duncan Show, and this is the Sports Rap Network, because we are all we got. It's you and me, and we tell our stories our way. Now, one story I do want to talk about. I know many of you got up, looked at Netflix, looked at Prime, all these different ways in which you have to watch the NFL. I find myself spending a little bit more money watching the NFL than I should. Maybe I should just wait until the end of SportsCenter and watch it. But the one thing that was disturbing for me to watch, and look, I know fashion. I've been on TV. I want to look good on TV. And look, no one is beyond approach. No one is beyond getting touched by the Ronnie Duncan Terror Dome. Do me a favor and look at 2 individuals, 2 of our brothers on the air. And, you know, they took it a little bit too far for me. But maybe that's my conservative style. Did you see what Nate Burleson had on? And Michael, you my man with the Cowboys. You've been a great player. I know you done had some problems in your life. But Michael Irvin, man, go consult a fashion doctor. That white look geeky as I don't know what you look like, Alabama on steroids. I call it Bamalicious. Boy, you country as they come. I know you from Miami. But boy, you are country as they come. It's the Ronnie Duncan Show on the Sports Rap Network. Yeah, I hit the brothers too, because you know we got to tell the truth, because we got. Yes, we're getting ready for the new year. We're getting ready for a great time, but it is the best time to be around. Hey, it's Ronnie Duncan right here on the Sports Rap Network. We come to you Monday through Friday between the hours of 1 and 3. You know, for the last few months, I have called a guy who I believe is one of the best journalists out there. He's in Philadelphia. He's WO. He's also part of the newspaper. He's part of the magazine. He's also an author. He is a great one. And you can always tell him by his brand because he has his bow tie on and he has, of course, a fedora. He is the one and only great one, Chris Murray, finally joining the Ronnie Duncan Show. We're so happy to have you. How's it going in Philadelphia, brother?
It's cold out here, bro. It is absolutely cold, but it's not as cold as Michigan. I lived in East Lansing for a couple of years,
Yes.
man, and bruh, it gets cold. I mean, I used to come back home, go back to Baltimore. It'd be 35, 40 degrees, and I felt warm. I was warm. I almost went without a jacket, But I'm just saying that, yeah, man. I'm sitting here chilling. I just got off the air doing my show.
I hear you. He's the one and only Chris Murray. Chris, joining us here on the Ronnie Duncan Show, there are a lot of different subjects you and I can talk about. But who got the better deal? Is it Fitzgerald or is it Winningham? I'm speaking of new football coaches, both at Michigan as well as Michigan State. When they do face each other, both will be facing each other's school for the first time in their career. And there's a lot of stuff that's being said on the pipelines. Hey, is Bryce Underwood going to stay? What's going to happen with everything Jonathan Smith put into the Michigan State's program? Are you surprised as to what has transformed in a state in which, hey, Baltimore may be your home, but you did your master's degree when you went from Morgan State University to Michigan State, and that's why you enjoy the Spartans. So as an alumni of the Spartans program, your thoughts, who got the better deal? Is it Fitzgerald with the Spartans or is it Winningham with the Wolverines?
I would say Kyle Whittingham with the Wolverines. I mean, I think Michigan got a better deal because he built that Utah program. And that Utah program, they weren't winning the Pac-10 or the Pac-12 or whatever it was every year before they broke up. But his teams were always tough. His teams, I think he fits into what Michigan likes to do, physical football with a strong passing game, giving the guys, he's had a lot of good quarterbacks play, and they've all been physical on defense and physical on offense. I think that that Michigan State, I think they lost their quarterback, the kid that they were bringing up. And, I think at the end of the day, I think that, they're really going to have to, I guess Michigan State will probably have to rely on that transfer portal. But I think that Michigan Michigan only lost 3 games last year.
Yeah, and a lot of people
And
don't recognize that. They're not looking at the fact that there were 3 games, and it wasn't to the point where when State lost, we're like so devastated by it. I've got to ask you this. You said you believe that Kyle Whittingham, is the better choice. And I beg to differ with you because of one thing.
what's
It's
that?
called age. Kyle Whittingham is 66 years old. How much longer does he do this? And come on, this was the biggest money grab he could have. Your coach,
Yeah.
you love history. You always love Utah. Whatever you did for the Utes, it's there. You had a 13-0 season at one time, considered for a national championship, but no one really brought into it because you're in Utah. We don't see you until the end of the year and when we take you seriously. Now he's playing in a mecca of college football, Ann Arbor, Michigan. What do you say to that? Do years make it better for him and for Fitzgerald?
I think that, to me, it's the experience. I've seen older coaches, he has the experience. He knows how to build a program. And in this situation, I think that, he doesn't have to do much. I think that, because I think he's going to, make a good, and as much as I pains me to be, to giving Michigan State, giving the University of Michigan, that school down, down in Ann Arbor, any type of praise. I gotta, as a journalist, give them credit. I gotta say that just because of his name, and for what I saw, and when I saw him, when I saw him at Utah, I think that, like I said, they're going to be better. And like I said, Aiden Childs, who was the quarterback that followed Jonathan Smith from Oregon State, basically is headed to the train. And Aiden Giles is a good quarterback, but the problem is
He's a
that
good
he was
quarterback, but not good enough for Michigan State. And we
no
saw
not
some of the
good.
things, and we saw some things that he did well, but that's got to be a model of consistency. The one thing that Kyle Whittingham is going to bring is talent. There's a lot of talent in
Right,
Utah. There's a lot of those guys who are saying, hey, man, I don't want to play that Mormon game no more. Let me come on over here to Michigan. I can do
right.
this. I can do that. Remember, Michigan's under a lot of stress. And the reason why our brother, Sharon Moore, brothers got to realize that sometimes snowflake bunnies, you got to leave them alone, honey, because maybe it's not the best investment for you in a sports degree. And I'm coming from the street with that, and I'm bringing facts with that. And you can say what you
Right.
want, but I know OJ. You know OJ. You know Nicole. I know Nicole. Come on, brother. It doesn't always end up right. And it's not where I'm looking at it from a standpoint of black and white.
Well,
My son is married to a white woman, okay? My daughter is
okay.
married to a Jewish man, a white man, okay? Those are two of my kids. But at the same time, when you have a job like Sharon Moore has, you're at the top of the mountain. Bro, you cannot do what they do. You have to be disciplined in your game in every phase of it, because as Tupac says, all eyes are on you.
Absolutely. And also, it would also help to not fool around on your wife, regardless of who she is or
And
what
what
color
color
she
she
is.
is.
Right. You should
Okay?
not mess around on your wife.
And
And
absolutely.
that's where Moore messed up. Okay. And the thing about it, don't do it at work. There's an old saying that you don't blankety blank where you eat. Okay.
Absolutely.
You can't go around. I, you I teach at a university. Okay. And as far as I'm concerned, I see beautiful women every day, but I'm not,
But you know the
because
cardinal
I'm
sin.
married.
You know the cardinal sin. We're talking to Chris Mary of the Mary Report, URD in Philadelphia. He also does so many wonderful things. We're going to bring him back in our next segment. We're going to talk boxing. That's one of our favorite subjects. We're going to talk about a kid out of Philadelphia by Jerron Boots Ennis and how he feels about him. And we'll also talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. Is that a basketball team? Still, seems like the Flyers are doing well, but the 76ers, Joel Embiid up, Joe Embiid down. Joe going to be healthy, but he won't be around. It's the story of the Philadelphia 76ers. It is the Sports Rap Network right here on not URD, but WGPR. 5 FM HD2. You know we all we got. Get us on the internet. All you have to do is go to our website, the red, the black, and the green, the liberating colors. You know what I mean? We are the station of the culture. All you got to do is go to the App Store and look for the Sports Rap Network. And if you want to follow us online and listen online, and many people do, go to sportsrapnet.com. I'm Ronnie Duncan. You know how I'm saying we all we got, but we got much more when we come back. It's the Sports Rap Network. It's the Ronnie Duncan Show. Remember, if you know your value, then you know your worth. And let's face it, black lives do matter, but we got to value black lives. Hey, it's the Sports Rap Network, Monday through Friday between the hours of 1 and 3 o'clock. It's the Ronnie Duncan Show. And I bring it to you straight because, baby boy, I got receipts on everything I say. It ain't just somebody going crazy off the all right? And I'm talking about off the rims and off the rails and off whatever. I'm just bringing it to you because I never try to tell a lie because I always know the truth. Joining us live on the air, WURD in Philadelphia right here at WGPR 107.5.2, and you know it, HD2, so that's 107.5 HD2. You know we all we got, and we all we need. All right, Chris, you and I, let's go to the four corners of the ring. Let's go to the School of Hard Knocks. I'm going to ask you right now, off the top of your head, without any hesitation, and just the motivation of your memory. If I said, give me your top 5 fighters in the world today, and they matter for the sport, who are they? Top 5 current fighters. Terrence Crawford can't be on your list because you know last week he retired. What do you have for me, man, as we go into 2026, your top 5 fighters?
My top 5 fighters are Jerron Boots Ennis out of Philly.
Mm.
I would also say Naoya Inoue
Oh
out of
yeah.
Japan.
Oh yeah.
He's a bad man. I'm gonna say Shakur Stevens, and almost by default, when he decides to fight, I'm gonna say Javante Davis. When he's in his right mind
You
and
crazy.
not hitting women, in his right mind, he's still a great boxer. And let me see. You said a fifth one. I'm trying to think of, and I'm gonna throw in. Geez, I'm trying to figure out. That's not. I'm going to throw in at this point Virgil or Ortiz because he's unbeaten and he's going to be fighting Boots. He should be fighting Boots sometime soon.
You are
But those,
amazing. You are amazing because you went ahead. And I mean, I'm saying to myself, okay, this is easy. Okay. Because they're undefeated. They've been unified 2 times in the heavyweight division. They've been unified in the cruiserweight division. And just because they lost to Sean Porter in the amateurs, you have no love for Alexander Usyk of the Ukraine? I mean, we got 5 fighters, and you gave me a guy who ain't even got a damn title. The only belt he has is the one around his waist, and that's Virgil Ortiz.
Usyk's probably the best technical boxer probably in the world. And
who does Usyk have to beat to convince you that he's good? Did he not beat? Did he Fury?
Yes, he did.
Did he not beat Anthony Joshua twice? Did he not knock out Dubois?
Well, yeah.
I mean, what does he got to do? You act like you watching boxing through the lenses of Ray Charles right now, because you can't see it, because you can't see anything.
But the thing is, are there really a lot of quality fighters at heavyweight?
Yes, there are. I just named you some people Usyk beat. I mean, what do you want? You know what? You know what? He cannot. You know what? He's a generational fighter. How many guys? Can you answer this question? How many guys do you know outside the last name Holyfield who went cruiserweight, who went heavyweight, and unified heavyweight champion? And this guy didn't undisputed. You're holding against him that he didn't fight Ali. You're holding against him that he didn't fight Mike Tyson. You're holding against him that he didn't even fight Deontay Wilder. You can't do that, dude. I can only fight who I can fight. It's almost like these guys who try to pacify.
Like Rocky Marciano.
Absolutely.
Rocky Marciano was unbeaten. He could only fight who he could fight. And my thing is, I did kind of overlook Usyk and everything because Usyk just doesn't. I mean, he's a great fighter, but like I said again, he just doesn't have that charismatic thing going on. And I get it, and I agree. I know I respect Usyk. I respect the hell. I mean, that guy. You're right. He went up from cruiserweight to heavyweight, and like I said, he's probably amongst the fighters, maybe the best technical boxer in the world. That can, and I say that when you're the best technical boxer in the world, that means you can knock a guy out or you can severely outpoint people. And in those fights against Anthony Joshua, he basically, exposed Joshua. He had good defense and didn't let Joshua hit him. And Joshua is not the best, not the best guy on defense. He gets hit a lot. He even got hit a lot when he won the championship from Klitschko. So no, I will end this situation. It's just that Usyk just doesn't have that factor that he's not the most charismatic guy. He's he's a fighter.
It's called world champion boxing, okay? Not whether or not you speak English, okay?
Oh, yeah.
All right. And I think that's the problem. He is not the commercial success, but guess what? He's a global success. He's a global success, and people recognize him as the world champion. And he's the baddest man on the planet as far as I'm concerned. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Are you accusing me of being... I have nothing against the fact that he's from the Ukraine, and
I'm accusing you of being racist. No, I'm looking.
being racist, but it seems like that the heavyweight division is outside of the guys we mentioned. There's not as much competition. That's probably where I'm coming from. That's the point of view. Because in the lower weight division, I mean, you got some really good fighters at 135, 140, and 147 and 154. In those divisions, there's a lot of competition. You got Teofimo Lopez against Shakur Stevens, which I think that, as some people are gonna. I'm gonna probably. I don't know if anybody has a harder punch. It would be Teofimo Lopez
Yes,
and
yes.
everything. I think he has a harder punch, and he may have the advantage. I mean, I'm
I
not gonna
think
say
he's
Shakur
athletic.
Stevenson
I think not only does he have the power, I think he's athletic enough.
to beat Stevenson.
Absolutely. We saw
Because
with
Stevenson has no hard punch, and Stevenson, if you hit him, Stevenson will get on his bicycle quick, and he's not going to engage if he gets hit hard. That's the thing that I worry about with Shakur Stevenson.
but
I
let's be the mindset of a Teofimo Lopez,
right.
okay? And we can look. What was the last fight for Shakur? It was the Golden Boy fighter who was undefeated, and I think you went to that fight. Didn't you go to that fight?
No, I wasn't at that fight. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, it was against
Oh
a
my goodness!
Golden Boy fighter who
And I thought he presented himself well. He had a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
power. He had a lot of endurance, and I'm like, but is he smarter than Teofimo? Does he hit harder than Teofimo? And that
And that's the
becomes,
big question. That's always the question about Shakur Stevenson. Can he because he has great technical boxing skills.
I just want to know what happens when he get. I want to know what happens when he gets hit. I want to know
That
does the cookie crumble? And if that's the case, then we talk about it. Man, it's so much fun talking to you about boxing. We can go on and on. I agree with you on Jerron Boots Ennis, but I say the next second coming of the next great fighter is probably going to be Abdullah Mason out of Cleveland, Ohio, the WBO 135-pound champion. We will have one more final conversation with the man, the myth, the miracle, known as Chris Miller, WURD, Philadelphia. I mean, Chris Miller. Well, Chris Miller's a guy who used to be a boxing commissioner here in the state of Ohio. But anyway, Chris Murray, okay? Like Eddie Murray, like Mary Steaks, like Merry Christmas. That's why we always say, what's up, Merry Christmas? And he's like, yeah, oh, why? Merry Christmas. All right. So we will continue my conversation with the one and only Chris Murray. We'll talk about some of the projects that he's working on, why, and what is the most interesting story to cover in Philadelphia. That and so much more next on the Ronnie Duncan Show, because we got. Once again, it is WGPR 107.5 FM. It is HD2. It's the Sports Rap Network. Don't forget to tune us in because we got the two live stews. They're back. We got Mark Gray in the evening. He's on. You got Ronnie Duncan. You got, of course, Young Jock. And let's not even forget about the Sports Shop in the afternoons. That's what we do here on the Sports Rap Network. And it's nothing but nonstop sports talk for you and mine. Our guest has been with us for a minute. He is the one, the only Chris Murray. He is not a Chris Miller, but if he beats Chris Miller in a boxing match, I'll never say Murray again.
Well, like I say, if you're gonna have me in a boxing match, you gotta have plenty of money and you gotta have good brisket.
Hey, I love a good brisket. Hey, look, man, I know you've worked at various newspapers, at least two that I know of, in Philadelphia. One time at the Inquirer, and I believe you also do some other work. But bring us up to date on your career, because you're one of the best writers out there. You've done work for Boxing Scene magazine. You've done work for the NFL. You cover the Philadelphia scene. Right now, what's the biggest story in Philadelphia? But bring us up to date on your resume, because it is beyond WURD.
Yeah, well, I currently freelance for a publication called the Philadelphia Sunday Sun that was founded by NAACP president and one of the founders of the original Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists, a guy by the name of J. Wyatt Mondesire. His fame in sports, in terms of the sports side of it, was that he once said that Donovan McNabb wasn't "quote unquote" black enough.
I thought that was it, brother.
Yeah.
He's like Rob Parker saying that a certain quarterback from Baylor ain't black enough to play to be talking about the NFL when he was with the Washington Redskins. If you can remember when Rob Parker went after, of course. Okay. You
Robert
remember.
Griffin III and called him a cornball.
And he wasn't wrong. But anyway.
He wasn't wrong about that. He wasn't wrong about that. But the thing is, I'm doing that. But the biggest, to me, the biggest story right now is how Jalen Hurts is being covered in sports talk radio. And I gotta say something to you and to Rob Parker and all those guys. I thank you guys for forming this particular network because in places like Philadelphia, for some reason they don't consider our particular fan base and all that, and they rode Jalen Hurts unnecessarily hard. I'm not saying that when a quarterback has a 5 turnover game that you don't give him scrutiny and you don't criticize, because I can tell you in that game, Jalen, tried to force in some passes and he tried too hard to make certain
And
plays.
so did Brett
But
Favre, and everybody forgets that. Okay,
right,
these short-term memories, and we try to go ahead and go, everything is good in the game, and the game is fair, and the game is whatever. First of all, look me in the eye right now, everybody listening, and I want you to think about this because it's nothing that we ever talk about, but we know it exists. Just because you have stripes and just because you're an official doesn't mean you can't be racist.
right.
Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about what the Oscar Robertsons, the Bill Russells, the Wilt Chamberlains had to deal with. The Lenny Moores, the Parkers had to deal with. The Donnell Thompsons had to deal with. I'm talking about racism. Or the Eddie Murray opposed to the great milk drinking Cal Ripken had to deal with. Nobody talks about that because they don't want to go ahead and put a scar on officials. Yeah, you can be a Donahue and you can gamble and you can get caught and you can be a guy doing this thing, but they don't settle for longevity of that story. Oh, let's just go by that. No, we're not going to airbrush anything. And we don't do that here on the Sports Rap Network. And so for an individual such as Jalen Hurts, I go back to the lyrics of Janet Jackson. What have you done for me lately? I got your ass back in the playoffs. End of deal. And I'm going to tell you right now, when the season is over, 2 weeks from now, somebody's going to have to deal with Philadelphia. It could be the Rams. It could be the Saints, who, by the way, may end up winning, or Carolina. But I'm going to tell you who they don't want to see, the Philadelphia Eagles. They don't want to see it because, let me tell you, one guy who seems like he has no ego, he's just a football player. You never hear him talk about anybody. Because what stays in house stays in his business. And he says, get some business. And that's Devontae Smith. He was like that at Alabama, and he's like that with the Philadelphia Eagles. I am not a big fan of A.J. Brown because you clowned yourself, brother. You sat around and told everybody, I need to get the ball. And so we force-fed you, and guess what? We lost. That's what happened with Philadelphia. We lost. Mm-hmm. So now all of a sudden, we're in the playoffs, all is forgiven, but no, the racist mentality that is there. See, you can talk about WIP, and I can talk about WIP. And I can tell you right now, how many real black hosts do they have on? A black guy who does a show by himself. He's got to have the white voice to tone him down because we can't have the angry black man.
Player. You
got to be a former football player. You got to be a guy who wants to, but nope, none of these guys, and most of them are white, never played the game. Never played the game. They know the game better than the general manager. You ain't Howie, and neither am I, and Howie never called me for advice. So you know what? I'm believing in Howie Roseman. He ain't never called me for advice. I'm not that good.
And that's the thing that here's the problem. Hurts had that one bad game, but then...
No, he's had more than one bad game. He's had 4 bad games. But guess what?
Right.
Hurts has been able to get away with stuff because he's such a great athlete. And there are going to be times that outside of Cam Newton, you show me a quarterback, a black quarterback in the history of the NFL that you really thought about, let me make a career decision before I tackle this brother because I could get hurt. That's what Jalen presents. Okay? Because if you hurt him, trust me, you going to be hurt. This ain't no Deebo Samuels. This ain't no Deebo Samuels, baby. You hit me, we have a collision. I'm not getting hurt. Yeah, you did get hurt, little man. This is a big man. Deebo doesn't even come close to how much does he squat? Like over 500 pounds?
Something like that. So I think he squats about 300. No.
He squats more than 300. I think he squats like 500.
About 600.
Yeah, remember, he was a power lifter. His daddy, he didn't go down Tuscaloosa looking for a father figure. He got one.
Right. Absolutely. But see, here's the thing I want to say. But the most important thing, of all the things you will say about Jalen Hurts, the most important thing about Jalen Hurts is that he wins. The guy is a winner. And let's take a look at what he's done on this field, on the field against some of the league's elite quarterbacks. And everybody says he's not an elite quarterback, but here's the deal. He's beaten Patrick Mahomes. He's 3-1 against Patrick Mahomes in his career. He's beaten Lamar Jackson. He's beaten Josh Allen. Okay? He's beaten those guys, and as everybody wants to say that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are there, are there to win Super Bowls and all, or haven't won Super Bowls. He's done what those guys haven't done. He's outplayed Patrick Mahomes in 2 Super Bowls, even though they lost that first one. He's outplayed. He is definitely outplayed Patrick Mahomes in that Super Bowl that they lost. Had it not been for the one fumble he had in that game and the fact that the refs kind of jobbed the Eagles late in that game, then I think, he'd have been a 2-time Super Bowl champion. So the guy figures out a way. This was a guy at Alabama who got benched.
Oh, yeah.
Got benched in the national championship game. Then when Tua got hurt in the SEC championship game, he led the team to a victory. And then he goes off, transfers to Oklahoma, and puts them in the college football playoffs. This guy finds a way to win. He has fought, even when he struggled, he has fought back against adversity. And that's the thing that, I understand, we're all going to be critical of guys. Note the other stuff that he's done as well. I mean, this is a guy.
Chris, you said it best. And unfortunately, we got to let you go, but he's a WINNER winner. Just that, he's a winner. And I'm telling you right now, he tries to keep everybody happy, but he's a leader. And when he said in that locker room recently, if you ain't going to show up, then shut up. That said it all for me. He said, if you ain't going to show up, then shut up, because I show up every week. Even with the 5-interception game, I show up every week. Right. And that's my man. Absolutely. And that's why I roll with Mr. Hurts. And love does hurt when you lose, but love is good when you win. Hey, Chris, always a pleasure talking to you, man. God bless. Keep him first, because he'll never have you last. I'll be with the Sports Rap Network family. Our condolences to you for losing your brother. And may God continue to be with you and hold you in his very best. That's just where I'm from.
Very much. I appreciate that.
Hey, man, he's the one and only Chris Murray. And he ain't in a hurry. But I am, because we got to go. It is the Ronnie Duncan Show right now. And I got to give love where love is. My goodness. Chris Murray, man, you brought it. Did you bring it? I mean, the great conversation that you had with him, you talk about an award-winning writer, an author, a newspaper guy, and WRD in Philadelphia. Man, thanks a lot so much for being there with us. And Chris, you and I have been talking about a lot of different things, and maybe we can get you and your girl to join us here with your podcast right on the airways of the Sports Rap Network. Okay, everybody, it's Ronnie Duncan. It's the Sports Rap Network. Hope you're having a lot of fun. Hope your holidays was a good holidays. I hope you got everything you wanted. And to all my little brothers and sisters out there, I hope Santa Claus brought you everything you wanted. And maybe you didn't get it on Christmas Day, but you're going to get it during the year. Because when you do good things come to you. And that comes from the man upstairs. Not that guy at the North Pole. I'm talking about the man I know is Jesus, last name Christ. Hey, I'm all about that business. Ronnie Duncan Show right here on the Sports Rap Network. 321, I am not done. We are all we got, because that is our slogan. And that's why we do what we do. Just a recap of what happened last night. Man, the NFL season has been awesome. I like the parody. I like the mere fact that when we started talking about the beginning of the NFL, look, I thought the Lions would be in a better position, and, Detroit Lions of winning. They're not even going to touch the playoffs. They're not even close to the playoffs. They couldn't win the games that mattered, but how about the teams that have? There's not going to be an undefeated team, a number one team going into these playoffs. There's not. Because there's a lot of parity in the NFL, and teams have gotten better, and it tells the one story. Have you ever heard how people talk? Everybody in this league can play. The National Football League. Everybody in the league can play. Given the right opportunities, given the minutes to play, I don't care who you are, you can get things done. And think about a dramatic finish. How about Philadelphia? And Buffalo. Yesterday. Man, did that game had everything I needed. Philadelphia dominant. in the first half. Buffalo finally coming back. Josh Allen doing what he does. That's what I'm talking. Even though Philadelphia won the game. And I do not blame Buffalo for going for the 2 points. You know, Sean McDermott, he is not my favorite coach. And honestly, I think there's a possibility if they don't win the Super Bowl, if they don't even come close to the Super Bowl, they may make changes there in Buffalo. Orchard Park, he may never see that new stadium other than, oh, they were building that when I was there. I just never was there to complete the job, and the job has to be completed because guess what? This is not Marv Levy time. Y'all got to win something. And I feel bad for Josh Allen. I've not been a Josh Allen fan. I'm still holding him accountable for things he did when he was in junior high school and the things he said about black folks. Go look it up. Oh, it's real easy to find. Before he got drafted into the NFL, and then all of a sudden he fell in love with black folks and brothers and sisters. Okay, whatever. Sometimes the way you begin is the way you end, but maybe that's not the case, and maybe I need to go ahead and rest on that. Man, just go ahead and take a little setback. But the Philadelphia Eagles, they got it done. Defense showed up the minute when they needed to show up. Stopped some scoring when it had to be stopped. And now all the stuff that we talked about Philadelphia, we can't talk about them that way anymore. But one team we can be concerned about is the Baltimore Ravens. Coming up in our next segment, we're going to talk with Lamont Germany, Hall of Fame broadcaster, voice of the Morgan State Bears, voice of the Heritage Sports Radio Network, and a guy who has been in it for a long time. And I asked him this one question. I said, Lamont, man, why do we need a sports rap network? And I think he gave the best definition, at least one that I can definitely validate and I agree on. Nobody tells our story better than us. It is the Sports Rap Network, Monday through Friday, the Ronnie Duncan Show. I come to you Monday through Friday between the hours of 1 and 3. Some very interesting people over the weekend. Found out maybe I should get a new phone at T-Mobile. Just want to thank my man who, of course, helped me out along the way. You know, in paying the bill, I think I got to get a new phone. What was the best Christmas gift I had? Well, that's yet to be determined. There are more things that got to happen. Christmas was fine, but New Year's is going to be better. And, of course, Wednesday night, Thursday, New Year's Eve. I don't know about you. You know what I'm doing? I'm doing something I started when I was in college, back at Morgan State University. Remember dating this young lady, Sherilyn Stansbury, that's her name. And, you know, we were dating, and I said, so what are you going to do for New Year's? She says, well, I normally go to watch service. I said, okay, fine. Now, I thought, you know, me being in church, the whole 9 yards, it was cool. But I had never gone to a watch service, meaning that you're in church prior to New Year's, you know, you're in church New Year's Eve, and when the clock strikes 12 and it's Happy New Year, you know, you're doing your thing and you're in church and you're praising God and it's all that. And I thought, you know, as a religious studies minor, as a guy who was carrying at the time 2, 3, 4 Bibles with me, you know, always a pass went out. I thought it was like, wow, I didn't know people did that. Maybe it's because I was living in the hood and wasn't nobody, you shooting guns in the middle of the night, pop, 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 pop. It's New Year's, like, you don't want to be outside, you hit by a stray gun. But I didn't know. I'm serious. Remember, I'm talking, what am I, 16, 17 years old? I wasn't really, I went to a United Methodist church. It was different. We were popping guns. But, you know, ever since that time, back in 1979, 1980, and she invited me to go to church with her, I've continued the tradition. Obviously, we ain't still together. My life has gone on. I'm doing other things. But I continued the tradition. So I will be in church. I'll be at Triumph on New Year's Eve. I will, and I'll be praising him and getting ready for 2026. And we got some big things coming up for you in 2026 here on the Sports Rap Network. Now, once again, the Lions of Detroit, they need a facelift. They need a facelift. They didn't make the playoffs, so what's next? Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell. Y'all got so many holes in the defense that I'm going to tell you right now, y'all should be going to church with me because it's a holy service that y'all wholly need to hear the whole thing because, man, I'm telling you right now, you can't stop a nosebleed, and that's if, of course, somebody was sneezing right on you and put the snot on your face. You couldn't stop it from running down. That's how bad it is. The Lions just don't have any defense. Now, who do I keep? I'm keeping Aiden Hutchinson. I'm keeping Jack Campbell. Anzalone, he's got to go. And the only way I bring Kirby Joseph back, can you completely tell me that in 18 games, at least 16 of them, you're going to be healthy? Can you At least act like this is your contract year as you did the year before, and you was playing all those games. You made All-Pro. You led the league in interceptions. The day that the Lions find a way to put some pressure on the quarterback is the day the government's going to turn up and turn up. Browns beat the Steelers. Shedeur Sanders, big touchdown. The Steelers didn't even score a touchdown. Browns won 13. Are you kidding me? And now the Steelers are fighting for their life against the Baltimore Ravens, and that will happen next Sunday. Give me the hiccups just thinking about all this. It's all this craziness that's been happening. And what happened to the Pistons in Los Angeles last night? The 5 points for the man that they call Kawhi Leonard. He had a flashback. Somebody must have shown him old highlights of him. He went to a time capsule and came out playing. 112.99. Pistons lose. New York Knicks fans are saying, we're going to be coming to number one and don't be the Pistons. Can the Pistons hold on to the league and the NBA East until the clock strikes 12 on New Year's? Next up, they take on LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers. That closed-door meeting, LeBron and the Lakers beat the Kings. Last night, the King, LeBron, had 24 points. Shot the ball very well. Luka Doncic did his damage. Lakers did win. They got their 20th win of the season. Are they really a factor in the NBA? We come back one-on-one with Lamont Germany because we got. It's the Sports Rap Network. Ronnie Duncan inside your radio. WGPR 107.5 FM HD2. You know we got. It's the Sports Rap Network. Lot of chapping, lot of chirping, lot of talking, lot of slamming going on in Baltimore. They say that the Baltimore Sun is owned by Sinclair Broadcasting. We know they're great friends of the Trump administration. One of their lead writers, columnist Mike Preston, has come out all on the performance of the one and only Lamar Jackson. Are they trying to get him out of Baltimore? One guy I know who's definitely down on the scene, and he tells it like it is. He's the one, LG, Lamont Germany. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy New Year coming up, Lamont. What's the real story taking place in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson? Look, let's face it. The Ravens didn't reach the peak that everybody thought they would this season. However, has it really been Lamar? And do the Ravens look to say, hey, maybe we need to part ourselves from the guy that has never won a Super Bowl for us, but we thought, if anything, he would win multiple Super Bowls?
With the possible exception of the Detroit Lions, they're the most underperforming team in the league, point blank. And this is a performance business, and they haven't performed. This is a team that it looks like they may not even make the postseason, much less make a deep run in the postseason, and certainly don't look like a Super Bowl team. They've been inconsistent all year long, and when you lose, especially when you have high expectations, there are going to be consequences. They're supposed to be a team that is among the elite in the National Football League, and they haven't been. And when you're the quarterback, you're going to take a lot of that smoke. Comes with the territory. It doesn't matter whether Lamar, who's the current quarterback, or Johnny Unitas from 50 years ago, and every quarterback in between in Baltimore. When you're the man, you catch the smoke. Now, the story is written in the Sun. They're really based in two hardcore realities that we've seen written over and over again, time and time again in sports. The number one subject is, do superstars get special treatment? We've heard that before with Michael Jordan, with Tom Brady, with LeBron James. And the simple answer is yes. Tom Brady got treated different than the third string left guard. This is real. LeBron James gets treated differently, and his son gets to be on the team because he's LeBron James. That's just a fact, that superstars get treated differently than other folk do. And Lamar is a superstar, without question. He is one of the most gifted talents in a generation in that position. And what comes with that, you got to post W's, bro. That's it. You got to win. If Lamar was winning and the exact same things were happening, nobody would be talking about it. Nobody would care about it if the Ravens were 13-3 right now. Nobody would care.
So the brush, what you're saying to me is that the brush of criticism is not being stroked with the same brush of racism. Yes, he's black. Yes, he has the grill. Yes, he's unique in his own way. But the most important thing, which is universal for anyone, did you win or did you lose? And he's just not winning. Can I sum it up that way?
Yeah. But I think you made a good point when you introduced the whole segment. The Ravens' lack of success is not just Lamar driven, but he's going to get the smoke because he's the starting quarterback. And so that's where people are going to look. Although you can look at a whole lot of other places as to why the Ravens aren't performing and aren't winning. Now, I don't know who Mike Preston's source was. There's 53 players on a team, Dunk, and law of averages, there's probably going to be somebody on that team that might not get along with Lamar for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Who knows what that might be. And so I don't think Mike Preston made it up. I think there probably is somebody that threw that stuff against the wall, against Lamar, but it's all couched in the spirit of they're losing. And if they weren't losing, none of this stuff would see the light of day. And this is a team that it was expected to not only make the playoffs, win the division, but go deep in the playoffs. And it looks like they're going to do none of that. And so you get what you get when you do what you do. And what they've been doing is they've been major disappointment, and Lamar's catching the smoke. And unfortunately, Duncan, I'm just going to be real here because I think I can be that with you. Lamar has never been the most loquacious, the most eloquent speaker with a microphone in front of him. That just hasn't been a strength. And when you're the lead dog, when you're the starting quarterback, that also comes with the territory. And that's not a Lamar strength. And so when you get these kind of knocks that you're getting from the press, Lamar may not be the best equipped to counter them. The Ravens as an organization have a decision to make after this season. Do they keep Lamar? Do they keep Coach Harbaugh? And to me, it's an easy decision. You keep Lamar because Lamar's upside and potential moving forward, I think, is a lot higher. And I think the Ravens have a much better chance of reviving and becoming the team everybody thought they were going to be with Lamar moving forward than they do with Harbaugh moving forward, at least in my view.
He's Lamont Germany. He is the voice of choice of Morgan State Bears. He is also the general manager of the Heritage Sports Radio Network, joining us as a guest here on the Ronnie Duncan Show, talking about the latest news dealing with Lamar Jackson, whether he stays, whether he goes, whether the Baltimore Ravens say, hey, Mr. Harbaugh, maybe you should join your brother down in Los Angeles. We'll find out more about that as this story develops. Lamont, you said something about the locker room, but I want to ask you about the community. Baltimore, predominantly black city. Baltimore, outside of Atlanta, has a very high rate of black season ticket holders. If by chance they say goodbye to Lamar Jackson, what does that do to Purple Fever in the city of Baltimore?
Takes a big hit, man, and a big step backwards. That's the decision they make in the direction that they plan to go in. I think it would be a monumental mistake, and I think that mistake would have consequences beyond just the African-American community. I think just the community in general in Baltimore would not curry favor if the Ravens chose to go in that direction. He's not having a horrible year. It's been an injury-plagued year. It's been a year where there's been a lack of consistency that I think is directly attributed to just an inability to be healthy consistently for Lamar Jackson. When he's healthy, he's still been marginally productive, but he hasn't been consistently on the field because of health problems. Don't think the Ravens will go in that direction. I think they will pay Lamar Jackson. Franchise quarterbacks, they're hard to find.
Oh, yeah.
You know I'm a Steeler guy. It took us a long time to find one after Bradshaw. We finally got Ben, and it's taken us a while after Ben. Even if Aaron were out this year, he's 42 years old. How long is he going to last we'll be looking for another quarterback. So those guys are hard to find. And I don't think you give up on Lamar if you're Baltimore. If they do, that will be a monumental mistake, and they will pay for it as a franchise, not only in wins and losses, but I think in dollars and cents.
That's why I love talking to Lamont, because we get a chance to talk like one brother to another, and we keep it on the real. It is the Sports Rap Network. We come back. I'm going to talk to Lamont Germany about why there needs to be a Sports Rap Network, why we need this conversation, and why this is a voice that needs to be heard. We're back with the Sports Rap Network. Ronnie Duncan inside your radio. Lamont Germany is our guest. He has been joining us. We talked all about Lamar Jackson. But now let's switch it. You know, we're getting a lot of heat here. Why does it have to be all black sports talk? Why do you need this? Why do you need that? Why does it have to be even a heritage radio network? Lamont Germany, if anybody knows how to answer that question, I defer to you. You know, I'm a little emotional with mine. I'm a little straightforward. I'll get up in your face and you know I got hands and I'll show them. And I'm not looking for a fight, but if you try to give me one, then I will. But from a standpoint of being able to articulate that reason, I go to you. You're older than I am. You got a birthday coming up in January. I do know. 68 is looking you right in the face, Mr. Germany, and saying, we are coming to visit you very soon, Lamont. And you're like, okay, I got it. Ronnie knows the memo. But really, seriously, man, why do we need Sports Rap Network? Why do we need the Heritage Sports Radio Network?
It's straightforward, man. Nobody's going to tell our stories with the intimacy, with the caring, with the context, with the knowledge that we have. Nobody could talk to us about us except us. Let's take it back historically. Let's go back to maybe one of the signature moments in sports history that involved an African-American athlete. And let's look at how the black press treated it, and let's look at how the general press treated it. When Jackie Robinson broke the color line in baseball in 1947, the monumental moment in sports that it actually was. As a matter of fact, it was a moment that transcended sports. It was a signature moment in the country's history when Jackie Robinson broke the color line with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Now, go back, Ronnie, and watch how the general press, the white press, treated that first game that Jackie Robinson played with the Brooklyn Dodgers. They treated it like it was just any other game. Nothing special, no features, nothing detailed, and the record is still there. You can go out and pick up the newspaper, pick up the Chicago Defender, pick up the Pittsburgh Courier on that day, and then pick up the New York Times on that day. The newspaper of record in New York, when Jackie was playing for the Brooklyn Dodgers in New York, they treated it like it was any other game. So you could see the monumental difference between how we, the black press, treated stories about us as compared to the white press. A monumental difference in what was the signature story, not only in baseball, not only in sports, in the freaking country. But the only journalists who gave it the attention that it so richly deserved, and we knew it then, and now you look back historically, was us. And that hasn't changed. Nothing's changed between now and then. We know the importance of our accomplishments in a way that the others often overlook.
He's Lamont Germany. Not only he is a good friend, he's the godfather of my daughter, Jerika, and just someone that I've had in my life for the last 50 plus some years. Lamont, you hit on something with Jackie, but I think it is the responsibility that we have within ourselves to recognize not only that history, but to share it. And what you and I have been able to do is to talk about it with our voice, be it loquacious or be it just a symbol of something coming out of someone's mouth. Black pride has resonated with us. I'm going to ask you this, and I've never asked you this. What was it like for you the first time that you were in the same room as Sam Lacey of the Afro-American newspaper, knowing that with your guy from Pittsburgh, they were the two who covered Jackie like crazy, be it the Amsterdam, be it Chicago Defender, be it the Amsterdam News in New York? This is where we saw that kind of activity, be it the Colin Post in Cleveland, Ohio, That's where that kind of activity was. But for you, as a young broadcaster, recognizing that you can say what Sam didn't say, not that Sam didn't want to say, but Sam didn't say, and to be in the same room as him as toward the end of his career, or for you and I to be in the same room with Larry Dean and recognizing what we need to do as journalists. Remember, both of us came from a news component far before we came from a sports component. So we recognize the priorities of dealing with the story, dealing with facts and issues. But how do you look back at meeting such historical individuals in your life? Art Rush Jr., Sam Lacey, and others.
I was starstruck, man. I was a fanboy. I'll just be honest with you. I was intimidated being in the same room with him, having some basic knowledge about his career, his history, his challenges, what he had to go through, what he had to encounter. I frankly felt overwhelmed at just being in his presence. And it's only been 2 times in my life that I felt that way. You and I have both had our experiences with people who are famous, people who are noteworthy. And I don't know about you, Dunk, but it's only been twice that I've really been starstruck to be in somebody's company. And one was Sam Lacey the very first time I met him. It was a horrible interview because I was so starstruck and overwhelmed just being in his presence. And the other time it happened for me was the first time I met Hank Aaron. You know, I'm not an Atlanta Brave guy, but what Hank went through when he broke Babe Ruth's record and who he was and the kind of person he was, again, I was starstruck when I'm standing toe to toe with a microphone in my hand, talking to Henry freaking Aaron. What am I going to say to him? And I felt the same way with Sam Lacey. Those are 2 individuals who, when I look at their history, what they had to endure in order for there to be a Lamont Germany and a Ronnie Duncan, my knees were quivering, man. I was shaking in my boots on those 2 occasions. They still stand out to me to this day. The 2 separate occasions I met those 2 gentlemen face to face.
You know, Lamont, I've interviewed a lot of people, and those 2 are there. But the person who did it for me is the guy who let me know that I could do this on television. I could do this on radio. And he sent me a Christmas greeting this year. And I told him that I love knowing that I'm part of his family because he says, I help raise you. And what he means by that is that I help to inspire you. And yes, I've talked to you. And for me to meet Sonny Hill and not only tell him that I follow everything you did in the 1974 World Championships, the NBA, in the 1975, and to see a black man, and even though his role was not as big as others, you're the only person that Rick Barry talked to. You're the only person that this guy has respect for. And I recognize Sonny was Sonny, but Sonny gave me, you, and others a dream to do what they do. Lamont, it's always a pleasure, man, chopping it up with you, talking about not only our past, our present, as well as the future. He's the one, the great one. OG, my guy, Lamont Albert Germany. Negro, you always going to be my hero. We are the Sports Rap. We're back on the Sports Rap Network. I couldn't let him go because we have memories, okay? We got receipts and we have memories. Lamont Germany is joining us right here on the Sports Rap Network, WGPR 107.5 FM HD2. You know we all we got, and as my mama would say, we all we need. Hey, how about that, Lamont? Lamont, I just got finished, like many other people, celebrating and getting excited, seeing Jake Paul, the great white hype and hope, get knocked out by Anthony Joshua. I mean, Anthony couldn't have done it any better other than just putting that boy to sleep. Sometimes you can bite off more than you can chew, but you reminded me that we've seen this before with me. Why don't you explain to our listeners?
Yeah, man, as you've explained, and I've co-signed, we go back a few years. And I remember in particular one fight that you and I took in together. This was back in the days where you had closed circuit viewing of high profile fights. And you had another great white hope emerging on the landscape. It was Jerry Cooney, who was emerging as a heavyweight championship contender. And he had fumbled and I mean really viciously pummeled Ken Norton in a fight and was hitting Ken Norton up against the head when Norton was down.
And out.
It was one of the most vicious knockouts, man, I've ever seen in boxing when Cooney took out Kenny Norton. So anyway, now, Larry Holmes is a champion of the world, and people are wondering whether Larry could stand up to the onslaught if Jerry Cooney got a hold of him. And you and I hooked up to go see that fight together. And from the moment we stepped into the arena, the old Civic Center in Baltimore, Maryland, I just standing beside you, man. I knew how much you wanted Larry Holmes to handle business, not just for Larry Holmes, but for the people.
That's it.
You need Larry Holmes to take care of business. Then when Larry Holmes did do what he had to do and took care of business, I just remember how emotional my brother Ronnie Duncan was to see the Eastern Assassin take care of Looney Jerry Cooney on that night.
It was a spiritual awakening for me, dude. I was in tears. I remember it very well now. I was in tears from emotion because, let everybody know, I mean, I was so upset. I know he had Tiffany's behind him. He had all of the great sponsors and the whole 9 yards. And Larry Holmes had, of course, the one and only Reverend Jesse Jackson still with us and at the time of this recording. But, he helps to bring Larry Holmes into the ring. There's Larry's brother. There's Richie Giacchetti. I get it. There's Don King. But you know why I got upset? Never in the history of professional boxing had this happened before, where the challenger came in last and was announced last as if he was the champion. Jerry Cooney walked into.
Respectful of that.
That hurt me so much, and I'm like, no, this is against boxing in etiquette. This should not be going on. This is no respect. This is that, and I'm looking at it, and I'm pissed off. I'm just enraged, and I'm like, listening to the announcers, and I'm like, there's no way that was Cooney's round. Holmes killed him with the jab. You're like, if you hit me one more time, we're going to have issues. Because in between every round, remember, I'm basically giving up an analysis of what just happened, And when, Lamont, how about when Jerry Cooney, I forgot the round, but when Jerry Cooney is running away from Larry Holmes and goes down, and Victor Valley comes in and stops the fight. He's like, no more. You can't hit this kid no more. Larry made me the proudest black man in America that day.
I remember like it was yesterday. What was that? That was 81 or something? I can't remember.
I think it either had to be 81. I'm almost sure it was 81. And if it's not 81, then it's definitely 82. But I think it's 1981. And just being, around that moment. And remember, I used to have a beta player, and I would bring it to Morgan, and the fight finally came on free TV, and I recorded it and brought it back to the student center. And all the women wanted to watch the soaps, and all the guys were like, "No, Ronnie got the fight. Let's watch it."
Oh yeah, man! You wanted to see that one over and over and over again.
Yeah, and that
was good to the last drop.
Even when HBO did their special on that fight, I don't think they really. I think they were scared to tap into the real source of the racism that was happening within that fight, and how Larry Holmes had no respect, and it was people wanting to see him lose because he was black. And if you can recall, the whole Rocky thing had happened. They hadn't had an American white champion for forever. We remember what happened when Dwayne Bobbitt got into the ring, and we know what happened in that situation, okay? But here we are, Larry Holmes, Jerry Cooney. And Jerry Cooney's one of the nicest people I've ever met.
I was about to say, man, Jerry Cooney, a nice guy.
He's a really good guy. And he and Larry Holmes get along very well. He was just influenced by the evil and the people that were around him. He didn't want to make it a black and white issue. He tried to stay away from it. But sometimes you have to embrace certain things because it sells, and that sold.
No question, it did. But Larry Holmes put an end to any controversy or debate, handled business at that time. And how long was Larry Holmes champ? Nobody stays champ that long.
That's right.
That's why I think he's underrated for just his consistency and longevity. And when he took care of business that night, he was again on his way to a long reign.
So when you saw Jake, so when you saw Jake Paul lose, get knocked out by Anthony Joshua, you're like, well, I know what Ronnie Duncan's doing right now.
That's the first thing that came to mind of me was when we saw the Cooney Holmes fight together. That's
Yeah.
the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah. But that's my sport. I love the game of boxing. I've tried to even share it with you opportunities. And, if there's an opportunity for somebody who ain't coming in as a ring announcer, I'm calling. I'm calling you. And we get it done. Did you see the similarities from the aspect of media? Because, people try to make you feel bad because this is why you think the way you think, or you cheer for whoever you cheer because there's someone who looks and sounds like you. That's never an issue when it's someone talking about a Graciano, a Marciano, okay? When they're talking about individuals like a Hector Macho Camacho, that's not a problem. But when it's me cheering for my kind, that's a problem. I don't think it should be a problem, okay? Like the great and late Jack Dempsey said, he never wanted to fight Sam Langford. He knew he would get knocked out by Sam Langford. It just wasn't Sam Langford was black. It was bad enough he was black, but Sam Langford just had those kind of skills. It's like 1908, 1910, when you've got Jack Johnson and the Mann Act and the whole 9 yards that is happening with him. That's the history of this game, and it comes from the world of sports. And once we start breaking barriers, we become better people. I've always listened to my mom, and she says sports is an event of racial frustration in this country, that we can come together watching an event. We can be brothers and sisters watching an event, especially if our team wins. I truly believe that even to my core to this very day. Sports has done it. We can go back to 1947 and we can look at Jackie, and we can look at 1948 and the Cleveland Indians and Satchel Paige and, Larry Doby becoming the first two African Americans ever to become a part of a World Series championship winning team. That was the Cleveland Indians 1 year after Jackie Robinson. So we need to celebrate these things, and we need to celebrate the Larry Holmes, because unfortunately, Larry Holmes will only be known as great as he is once he passes, and that's absurd, and that's sad.
True. That's so true, man. Because he had to follow a legend. He had to follow Ali, and so you were never going to be able to get your true props following somebody as legendary as Muhammad Ali. So that's why I was so glad to see Larry get his when he beat Jerry Cooney that night.
Hey, look, you've always been a dose of reality for me, because another fight that you and I saw was Sugar Ray Leonard and Roberto Duran. And no, I wasn't crying, but you had to give me reality. Ronnie Dunk, he beat him, okay? Yeah, but Dunk, he beat him.
Yeah, because you was the Sugar Ray guy back in those days.
Oh yeah. You couldn't tell me anything wrong. And every time I look at that fight, I go, all right, Lamont, you're right. All right, brother, always a pleasure. Take care, keep God first, and have you there. And let's talk again in 2026 on the Ronnie Duncan Show. You got it?
Be blessed, my brother.
All right. Be black and be the best. It's the Ronnie Duncan Show on the Sports Rap Network. We come to you, WGPR 107.5 FM, HD2. We got.